Hello, Michael here. Looking today at Psalm 68 for our devotion, specifically verse 6 through to 8 for the exposition. This psalm, which may be subtitled, God shall scatter his enemies. And so we're going to go ahead and read the verses 6 through 7. Verse 6: God setteth the solitary in families. He bringeth out those which are bound with chains. But the rebellious dwell in a dry land. Verse 7: O God, when thou wentest forth before thy people, when thou didst march through the wilderness. Selah. 8: The earth shook, the heavens also dropped at the presence of God. Even Sinai itself was moved at the presence of God, the God of Israel. And so we're going to go to the treasury of David for the exposition. Verse 6: God setteth the solitary in families. The people had been sundered and scattered over Egypt. Family ties had been disregarded, and the affections crushed. But when the people escaped from Pharaoh, they came together again, and all the fond associations of household life were restored. This was a great joy. He bringeth out those which are bound with chains. The most oppressed in Egypt were chained and imprisoned, but the divine emancipator brought them all forth into perfect liberty. He who did this of old continues his gracious work. The solitary heart, convinced of sin and made to pine alone, is admitted into the family of the firstborn. The fettered spirit is set free, and its prison broken down, when sin is forgiven. And for all this, God is to be greatly extolled, for he hath done it, and hath magnified the glory of his grace. But the rebellious dwell in a dry land. If any find the rule of Jehovah to be irksome, it is because their rebellious spirits kicks against his power. Israel did not find the desert dry, for the smitten rock gave forth its stream. But even in Canaan itself men were consumed with famine, because they cast off their allegiance to their covenant God. Even where God is revealed on the mercy seat, some men persist in rebellion, and such need not wonder if they find no peace, no comfort, no joy, even where all these abound. Justice is the rule of the Lord's kingdom, and hence there is no provision for the unjust to indulge their evil lustings. A perfect earth, and even heaven itself, would be a dry land to those who can only drink of the waters of sin. Of the most soul-satisfying of sacred ordinances, these witless rebels cry, "What a weariness it is!" And under the most soul-sustaining ministry, they complain of the foolishness of preaching. When a man has a rebellious heart, he must of necessity find all around him a dry land. And verse 7 that reads, O God, when thou wentest forth before thy people, when thou didst march through the wilderness. Selah. O God, when thou wentest forth before thy people. What a sweetly suitable association, thou and thy people. Thou before, and thy people following. The Lord went before, and therefore, whether the Red Sea or burning sand laying in the way, it mattered not. The pillar of cloud and fire always led them by the right way. When thou didst march through the wilderness, he was the commander-in-chief of Israel, from whom they received all orders, and the march was therefore his march. His stately step the region drear beheld. We may speak, if we will, of the wandering of the children of Israel, but we must not think them purposeless strayings. they were in reality a well-arranged and well-considered march. Selah. This seemed an odd place for a musical pause or direction, but it is better to break a sentence than spoil praise. The sense is about to be superlatively grand, and therefore the Selah intimates the fact of the players and singers, that they may with suitable solemnity perform their parts. It is never untimely to remind a congregation that the worship of God should be thoughtfully and heartily presented. In verse 8 that reads, "The earth shook, the heavens also dropped at the presence of God. Even Sinai itself was moved at the presence of God, the God of Israel." The earth shook. Beneath the sublime tread, the solid ground trembled. The heavens also dropped at the presence of God, as if they bowed before their God. The clouds descended, and a few dark shower drops stole abroad. Even Sinai itself was moved at the presence of God. Moses tells us in Exodus 19 that the whole mountain quaked greatly. That hill, so lone and high, bowed before the manifested God, the God of Israel, the one only living and true God, whom Israel worshipped, and who had chosen that nation to be his own above all the nations of the earth. The passage is so sublime that it would be difficult to find its equal. May the reader's hearts adore the God before whom the unconscious earth and sky act as if they recognized their Maker and were moved with a tremor of reverence. Yes, indeed, my God is an awesome God, a God of justice, a God of majesty, a God of all power. Bless his holy name. Trust you enjoy the meditation. Michael here declaring yet again, Jesus is Lord. Until next time, be blessed.